What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The catch. Fam, I hope you guys are doing fantastic tonight. Hope everybody is having a great Sunday. Hope you guys have had a great weekend. And I hope you guys are ready for a live 2025 fantasy football draft here on the catch. Hopping into League Three's fantasy draft for the 2025 fantasy football season. So we've been running what seems like nonstop drafts here on the channel with the community. And League Three is up tonight. So this is a normal double flex full PPR format. So one QB, two running backs, two wide receivers, two flex, tight end, five bench spots, and two IR spots is going to be a great draft tonight. Stoked to see how this one shakes out. And you guys know what we're going to do. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football. So get in the live chat. Any fantasy football questions that you guys have, redraft, dynasty, or best ball, get it going. We got plenty to discuss. A little bit more of a quiet kind of close to the most recent preseason games, but a couple moves today. Nothing like super fantasy relevant, but we'll talk about everything. We'll have some fun. We'll sit back and we'll see how League Three's draft goes. I'm excited for this one. Going to be a good group for sure. Going to be a competitive draft. And we're going to get going in just a second here. Want to make sure I got everything set up. I did want to check one thing very quickly. Okay, I thought maybe Sleeper had changed their ADP, but I guess they haven't. So I want to make sure if they had that you guys knew. So final warnings are going out on Sleeper and Discord right now. And then I will click the start button for the draft. So let's do it, boys and girls. I'm pumped for this one. Draft 110 in this draft. I feel like most of my draft spots have been earlier draft selections. So I'm interested to see how this one goes and how it shakes out at the end of the day. But nonetheless, I'm pumped. I have no plan whatsoever for this draft. Just going to see where the draft board takes us, and we will go from there. So I don't know if this is set to minute. It's supposed to be a minute and a half picks, so I'm updating that. Other than that, we look like we are ready to roll, boys and girls. So let's get it going. Like I said, hop in the live chat. Let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know how the weekend was. And most importantly, if you guys have any fantasy football questions, let me know as well. And I'll start to kind of break down each and every round of the draft as well as things get going here. But don't want to anticipate anything as the rounds begin, sway the draft potentially in any way, shape, or form. But I'll try and break down each round as they are completed as well. So let's see here. Where's Peter? So giving Pete a little bit of a break before things start to get super crazy with the beginning of the season. So he is resting up before things, like I said, get crazy. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have our week one content start to come out on Thursday. So make sure you guys are staying peeled, and you'll be seeing plenty of Pete sooner rather than later. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, he's not in this draft, but he is in one of the maybe we're done with all of Pete's drafts, because he was in I honestly, at this point, I'm like, I don't even know. He's in league number 4. That's what I thought. So he'll be live for that draft with me. And don't worry, guys. We'll see. You guys will see plenty of Pete. So don't fret. What's going on, Tommy? Good to see you. Got Your home league in 2 hours. Good luck on this one. Good luck in the home league as well. And good luck to everybody in league number 3, drafting here as well. Got any tips on drafting in a Superflex league on ESPN? I haven't even looked at ESPN's ADP. I know it's always different, a little bit, I don't want to say crazy, but just different. So I would have to look at ADP and kind of sit back and see. But let me know like what any big disparities in the first round or two look like. Generally in Superflex, really regardless of overall ADP, uh, I am going to say that my two favorite strategies are just keeping it very simple, either going double QB early, right? I would say the first 3 rounds have two quarterbacks out of the way. If you don't do that, then within the first 4 rounds, just have one quarterback out of the way, maybe the first 5, and load up at skill position players. I mean, you're either, committing to the quarterback position, which is generally what I try to do, or you're going 0 QB, stacking up skill position guys. Man, the 110 is not a great spot. I'll go Amon Ra. I mean, I'll go Amon Ra. I don't have a problem with that. Still think he's the best player available. But yeah, drafts are just at that point now that you're just not going to see any huge value fall out the first round. Still going to see neighbors there at the 111. And we can all guess who like the next kind of 3, 4 players. Yeah, Puka Nakua is who I thought would wrap up the first round. So there goes Drake Lendo. And into the second round we go. This would be a tough. I mean, no matter what here, 3 players that I really like available right now. So I think I'll be pretty happy with this next pick, regardless of who Foster's goes with. Yeah, Brian Thomas, a fantastic selection there. For me, it's either B. Tom or Henry. And one other player who I'm sure will get selected very soon, which I won't say because I don't want to sway the draft as usual. But I was kind of hoping for B. Tom. I don't know if I have any shares of B. Tom, like just from due to where I've been drafting. Like, I don't think he's fallen to me. Yeah, A-Chain was the other guy. I knew I was going to get B. Tom, Henry, or A-Chain with that pick. So like, I'm okay with any 3 of those guys. But yeah, I just don't think I have to go back and check. I don't think I've ended up with B. Tom and any like I have plenty of Brian Thomas Jr. in best ball, but I don't think I've ended up with Brian Thomas in any leagues. So that makes me sad. But it's a great pick there for Foster's. Neighbors, B. Tom, for me, this is like still one of my favorite starts, even though I'm a little worried about Neighbors. What's going on, your boy? Andrea, Chase, good to see everybody. What's up, Foster? Like I said, great start for you. Tommy, all my picks have been early so far. Finally, a later pick. Yeah, that's how it's worked out for majority for myself as well. Andrea had your home draft today. How did it go? Mark, we have one more draft. Yeah, we got a couple more. We'll have another one tomorrow night streamed on the channel. ESPN ADP is better than Sleeper this year. I remember you saying that, Taylor. Okay, I'm also in one of my home leagues is a 14-team league. And this was the first year drafting through Sleeper. And I don't like the scoring format's not any different. It's not super flex, not double QB, just regular PPR. And I don't know if it was like a glitch with the draft. I don't know how to explain it, but the ADP was completely different for this draft. And it really shook me up. I ended up like going, and it's a 14-team league, and people are like, Like, it's a true home league. Like, some of the picks, you're like, "What in the world is happening?" Like, it's a 14-team league, and for example, somebody started with Chase or excuse me, CeeDee Lamb, Chase Brown, and Josh Jacobs. Somebody started with Bijan, MH, and AJ Brown in the 3rd round. Um, like, just absolutely nutty all across the board, but, like, players were, like, buried throughout the draft as well, and it was just really weird at the end of the day. I don't wanna like, I know you guys can't see that draft board, so I'm not gonna go through and break it all down and waste your guys' time, but it literally, like, was the weirdest draft I've ever seen, and some teams just got crazy values, but I think that was just, like, a bug or something. It was really ADP was, like, all over the place. Like, trying to think of another good example, like, yeah, like, Devontae Adams didn't go to the 5th round. It was really weird. Travis Hunter went before Garrett Wilson. Some of it's due to the nature of the league. Some of it was like, what is happening? ESPN League I'm drafting in, only 5 QBs went in the first, second rounds last year. So pretty sure I'm gonna get Josh Allen at the 1-4. So you think all skill position players gone in the first 3 picks? I mean, I don't think it's out of the question if you know your league, right? Um, but I mean, yeah, if you're in a super flex format and you can get Josh Allen, then I mean, do it right away. Is his ADP lower than like Lamar or JD5? Trying to think. Getting more and more worried about McLaurin. I'm getting a little bit worried too. I was listening to Fantasy Endgame's live draft tonight, their stream, and was listening to Chris talk about this a little bit. Like, I think where the worry comes into play is, you look at it's still a loose example, but you look at Brandon Ayuk, how long he held out, and then the mediocre play to start the year. You worry about a situation like that with Terry McLaurin. And like, I'm not worried that Terry's going to get hurt or have this extreme injury necessarily like Ayuk had, right? But you look as good of a season as McLaurin had last year, it was still a relatively, his fantasy value was still at the end of the day very much so tied to scoring touchdowns. Don't get me wrong, he had 82 catches off 117 targets, over 1,000 receiving yards, just under 1,100 receiving yards, 13.3 yards per catch. But he still had 13 touchdowns. I mean, first season of his career scoring double-digit touchdowns. And you just worry, like, if the level of play is a little bit lower for a portion of the season, how that impacts his total fantasy season, I guess, at the end of the day. And if it does, the missing of training camp, all that stuff does stoop the overall production lower, then you do worry, right? So I think it's fair to be worried about McLaurin. And like, my viewpoint for majority of the offseason has still been to take the discount on Terry McLaurin, generally speaking, like, especially when he's falling to like the 4-6, like you see him in that range, 4-5 of 12-man drafts. I still find it very difficult to pass on him, because even if we get, less production last year and overall regression, like, what does that regression truly look like? How, like, is going to be that bad? But I think it's perfectly fair to be worried about him. I'm going to take my boy Garrett Wilson right here. All right. What's going on, Ray Gamer? Chase Brown is in the house. What's up? What's up? Andrew says home league was crazy. You guys did it live, right? My first draft is Thursday, and I first pick every day from Thursday till Tuesday. Drafts every day, Thursday to Tuesday. Is it like a 8-hour pick? 8-hour clock? How many drafts did you host this year? Quite a few. Let's see. I don't even know off the top of my head. Let's see. That's a good question. So we have what, 4 dynasty leagues in the community that are still active and running. We have 5 redraft leagues, including the 3 wide receiver league, then the Superflex league, then the auction league. So 12 leagues, 7 new leagues, 7 redraft leagues, 5 dynasty leagues. Then I have 3 home leagues. So that puts me in 15 leagues. Plus I did a bonus league this year and a bonus dynasty. So I'm in 17 leagues. Plus a lot of best ball drafts. All right, back on the board here. Should probably be making sure I'm paying attention. So this is just a tough area to draft from. I don't want too many Jets players on this team. All right, let's go MH. I feel like I've fallen back a little bit on MH. Let's go Hero RB tonight. All right, let's see here. Terry is in redraft full PPR. Trade away Jalen Warren and for Ayuk and Pittman. I mean, you got Baker, Garrett Wilson, Higgins, Bijan, Bucky, Andrews, Kyron. So Kyron's in the flex. I mean, you are loaded at running back. Garrett Wilson and Higgins, I think, is fine. You're flexing a running back. So you got Shaheed, next to your backup QB or setup QB, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Warren, Waddle, Keenan Allen. I mean, I don't really feel like this team needs Jalen Warren per se. I don't know how much this team really needs Ayuk and Pittman. You still have decent wide receiver depth, Wilson, Higgins, Shaheed, Waddle, Keenan Allen, but I do think that wide receiver is weaker than running back. Now, if you have an open IR spot, that's going to help this tremendously, right? Because you're just going to be able to throw Ayuk on IR until further notice. So I guess I do the trade. I'm not extremely high on Jalen Warren. I mean, that Arthur Smith system, it is a run-first system at the end of the day. So, you know, I don't really love Warren, Ayuk, or Pittman. There's not really anything that sways me here, one direction or the other. But I do think for your team it is beneficial because, like, I mean, Bijan, Bucky, Kyron are going to carry this team, and Aaron Jones a very solid bench running back, and I like Jordan Mason. So I'll do the trade, sure. Throw Ayuk on IR, go pick up a hot name on the waivers. And I do think Michael Pittman's a solid bench player, is a good value in drafts, but I don't know that I'm crazy on Pittman overall. But maybe Daniel Jones will deliver. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, sure. Go do the draft or go do the trade. I'm in. That running back core is crazy. Josh Allen's ADP and ESPN is pick 28. So I don't think ADP updates when Superflex. So that's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of unfair. I feel like it should update. But I feel like it's hard to do like a Superflex draft if it's not updated. You know what I mean? Like I would rather it be updated than potentially like having to map everything out and potentially get like uh, steal here and there throughout the draft, as opposed to like I can't just look at it and like the ADP is where it should be. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I would personally like try to get it reset. Maybe they just haven't changed the settings, the league settings. I feel like ESPN up to date enough that it should be able to do that, right? I know LSU trio, neighbors and beat Tom. I like it. I said 5 QBs. Oh, in the first 2 rounds. My bad. I was like, sorry. I've had a very busy day. I had a lot I had to do today. So I apologize. But still 5 in the first 2 rounds. Maybe it really doesn't update. I guess not. That's how it looked last year. What's up, J Dubs? Oh, so you have 3. Oh, I get what you're saying now. You have 3 drafts on Yahoo, 3 in Sleeper. Those matter the most, and the ones in NFL Fantasy / ESPN are just published with random people. Yeah, those will be. That's always tough. Like people just fall out as the season goes on. I feel like iffy on the deal, but I have an IR spot. I mean, I will say this for a 10-team format, like I do think that your team is very good. So I wouldn't be super worried. Like I mean, I'll say this: like if you're not crazy on the trade, right? Like then I don't. There's nothing in about that trade that makes me think like yes, you should do it, or maybe this is a reason why you should consider it. It's like if you don't feel like super obligated to do the trade, then I wouldn't say that you 100% need to. Um, but once again, like I think that your team has better RB depth than wide receiver depth. So if you want to make the move, I don't have a problem with it. And once again, I think it maybe depends a little bit like on your overall feelings when it comes to Jalen Warren. Getting so many DK Metcalf stocks, I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, and Metcalf is one of these guys on actual draft day that is we're tending to see him fall back a little bit. And ultimately, I don't think I'm high or low on Metcalf, but there does come a point where it's a little bit difficult to pass on him, right? Um, and ultimately, the thing that has had me torn this year, this offseason about Metcalf is, he could either be in line for like like a kind of like a Garrett Wilson type season last year where he's just peppered with targets, or you could even look at Devontae Adams. I don't know if it will be as drastic as Adams because some of those games it was like, is Devontae Adams or nobody, right? But at the same time, I could also see like just the way the Arthur Smith system is, the expected regression, so to speak, out of Rodgers. Um, I could also see a situation where like we're just not looking at a ton of upside. But I do think that this team has a lot of potential to be a team that will need to throw the football at times. So I could still see some good games and starts out of Rodgers throughout the season for sure. And obviously that's going to help when it comes to our guy DK Metcalf. But yeah, I've just been a little bit torn back and forth on Metcalf as a whole. But I do think he is one of these players. There comes a point in the draft where it's just really tough to pass on him, right? So we will see what happens and how. things shake out. All right. Probably going to fade him in this draft. We go with Pickens instead, right? Different team? Could be fine. I do like Pickens a whole lot. Adams is one player who's really starting to fall back a bit. I still think I like Adams over Metcalf, even if the Stafford thing gets a little shaky. If you guys were in a deeper format, would you rather have Stafford, Rodgers, or take a shot on Danny Dimes? I'm talking deep format. It's a fair trade. You could return to form. Pittman could be decent in PPR. Yeah, I guess there is more perceived upside with the wide receivers because Ayuk is attached to the trade. So I guess Ayuk Pittman does have more perceived upside than just Jalen Warren. I like Warren with Rodgers. Yeah, here's the other thing I would say too is like, so once you make the trade, you're going to be able to put Ayuk on IR and then run to the waiver wire right away. So maybe take a look at what running backs are out there on the waiver wire. And if there is, a player of interest to you, even if it's like a Chris Rodriguez, for example, go get that player, right? And that will maybe help soften the loss of Jalen Warren. But once again, with that roster, like I don't think you need Jalen Warren, right? You already have Bijan, Bucky, and Kyron in your starting lineup, but even after the trade, you're still going to have Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason on the bench. So you're in a good spot there. Keep McCaffrey in the 7th or Bijan in the 1st. I'd probably keep C-Mac in the 7th. Generally, for me, when I'm looking at keepers, I'm going to try and keep the player with the least, or with whatever the lesser loss of draft pick associated is going to be. That's where I'm going to swing towards. So for me personally, I'd probably just keep C-Mac in the 7th. Now, if you're drafting from like the 112, 111, 110, then maybe I'd keep Bijan. Call Peter and tell him to live stream tonight. I know he's been filming a lot for honestly, if I had asked him, he'd probably be on here. But I know he's been getting a lot of stuff prepared for his first week on his channel too. But Pete will be back, don't worry. Drafted in my home league. What's up, Space Ghost, Coast to Coast? And had the 1.1. How'd it go? I'd rather have Stafford over A-Rod and Danny Nichols. Definitely not linked to the fact that I have Stafford in the Superflex league. Yeah, I'm still finishing up that 14-man league, and I literally I didn't draft quarterbacks. I went double hero RB, and I just drafted a stupid amount of wide receivers. Neighbors, Sutton, DJ Moore, Pearsall, Myers, Reed, Keenan Allen, Henry, Travion Henderson, Braylon Allen, Tank Bigsby, Tucker Kraft, Tua, Darnold, Rodgers. So I did go Rodgers, but if Stafford wasn't hurt, I don't know if he would have been available. I'm on the clock. But I also probably would have ended up with him. And I'm going Monty here, but there's one player that is kind of hard to pass on here. But Stafford's still available in that draft. Sounds like Etienne or Bigsby may get moved soon. Would be interesting. I don't think it'll be Bigsby. I think Bigsby is is that really a rumor that's been going around? I think Bigsby has a pretty solidified role in that team. Is this really a thing going around? Don't tell me that after I just drafted him in a different league. And George's league, what's up, George? I'm simultaneously trying to do both drafts here, although we're at the end of the draft in your league. I have played in fantasy football with George. I was talking about this on the other night on one of the streams, and I think this is our 10-year anniversary. I think we started playing in 2015 because that's the year I moved to go to college, and George and I used to work at Sports Authority together. Some OG lore for you guys. And before I left and George left, we both left around the same time. He invited me to his fantasy league, right? And I want to say that was 2000. It may have been 2014, but I think it was 2015. And I have always played fantasy with George. And I talked about this on stream before, but George is the person who I actually attribute a lot of my fantasy love and knowledge and challenges to, because George has these leagues every year where it's different every single year, first of all. And it's always like insane. Okay, I don't know if it's gonna be a 14-man league. I don't know if it's gonna be a double quarterback. I don't know if there's gonna be 3 or 4 bench spots or 6. I don't know if there's gonna be. We had a 20-man league one year. We've done 3 wide receiver. We've done double flex. We've done one. Like we've done everything. It was the first league I was ever in that was full PPR. Before full PPR was just the standard, right? And so shout out to George. And last year I finally won the league. Finally. So I am the champ, putting that out there. But shout out to George for coming on the stream. And this draft we are in is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right. Yeah, I am shocked here, but I am just not passing on Jalen Hurts. No way whatsoever. I almost took him at the 5'10. I'm kind of glad I went Monty because Pollard and Swift can swooped up there. Monty is my RB2. I'm pretty okay with this start overall, actually. Space goes, it went okay. It's pool PPR. I'll list them off. Also, already offered a trade. Let's hear it. I'm either going to hate myself or be happy I drafted Terry. I mean, ultimately, I think you would be a lot more upset if you got him like closer to like the 4-3, 4-5 area where we typically would see him. But at the 5-6, I don't think you're really going to look back and be pissed about it. You know what I mean? The 5-6 is still a stupid good value. Kuda not letting Emeka Egbuka fall in any of these drafts. I love it. Absolutely love it. I think Dak is going to throw the ball 60 times a game. Their RB room is so bad. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. But, I mean, Jadon Blue's a little banged up, but Jadon Blue's looked okay in preseason. So is Phil Maffa. And I've said it all off season long. Javonte is going to be the guy to start the season. They are going to throw the ball a lot. I mean, the Cowboys were still in the top 12 in total passing attempts last season, even with Cooper Rush as the primary starting quarterback. All right, country slabs. I got BTJ, then Hunter fell to the 6 in a 10-team 2-flex. Do I keep Hunter in my second flex or trade? I'd probably just keep him. I mean, if you can get the right value back, then sure, you can trade him if you want to. But I always tell you guys, like, you know, there are dozens of teams, or maybe not dozens. There are enough teams where more than one wide receiver is productive that, you know, you guys just don't need to panic about if you have 2 players at the wide receiver position on the same team. I mean, there's really just no reason whatsoever for that to panic you. by any stretch. And I mean, you look at the Eagles with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. Look at the number one overall pick. Look at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right? Look at Amon Ra, J-Mo, JJ, and Jordan Addison, right? I mean, we could keep going here, and it's just never an issue. And so if you believe in Travis Hunter, then I really don't think that there's any reason to be worried about it. And once again, like you have to go best player available. Maybe not at all times, but in theory at all times. And ultimately, right, like if you think Hunter's the best player available and he fell to you should be happy about it. And like it's not like you're in a situation where you're starting Brian Thomas Jr. as your wide receiver one, then Hunter as your wide receiver two. Hunter's going to be in the flex for you. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. Maybe it'd be a little bit different if, like, you got BTJ as your wide receiver one, Hunter's your wide receiver two. You like also went zero RB and ETN's your RB two, or like T Law's your starting quarterback. Like at that point, you can get a little shaky. I mean, we've had seasons where it's difficult to even go all in on like a offense like the Bengals. So I think you'll be okay. All right, Kyler Murray, Bucky, Jacobs, Dobbins, Pollard, Spears, Chase, Adams, Ridley, Adunze, Diggs, Kincaid, and Rashad White, the GOAT. If you got Rashad White, you're good. But yeah, I mean, starting lineup looks solid here. Kyler, Bucky, Jacobs, Jamar Chase, Adams, Ridley in the flex, Dobbins, Pollard, both flexible. You handcuffed both Bucky and Pollard. And although Rashad White and Spears have been banged up, these are both players that do have some standalone value at worst. So they can always be, when healthy, extreme flex options. But Adunze and Diggs also flex options. This was a 12-teamer. It's a good team. Full PPR. What's the trade you got offered? About to lose my mind 2 drafts at once. It's not too bad. I've been doing it all stream, but my other draft just ended. And honestly, for a 14-team league, I'm pretty happy with this draft. It's about to wrap up in a minute here, but team's not perfect, but it'll work. Champ, it did take me long enough. I've come close quite a few times. But last year was meant to be. Now, last year was the first year in that league that I ever went like quarterback early. And I won the league. Then this year I go 0 quarterback. So we'll see if that pendulum swing works for me. Yeah, Jalen Hurts in the 5th. I'm like I said, I almost went Hurts over Monty. And I am glad I got Monty with Pollard and Swift gone, although maybe one of those 2 teams goes Monty over Pollard or Swift, which I still would have been okay with. But I'm happy with this start. I'll take it. All right. Let's see what we got. Into the 7th round already. We got some work to do. I just feel like ADP and like is just shifting so drastically right now. Emeka Igbuka in the 5th. Matthew Golden in the 6th. Pearsall. I feel like Pearsall just is a 6th rounder. How did Devonta Smith fall to the 6th, 8th? Y'all, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I mean, I didn't draft him either, but if Hurts wasn't there and I saw Devonta Smith as my wide receiver 4, I would have shit myself. But Hurts being there, I just, couldn't do it. Couldn't look at anyone else. Shout out George. Shout out Trip. Shout out George. Was offered Chase Brown, Hendo, and Warren, Colts tight end for Jacobs, Pollard, and Kincaid. Now that is an intriguing trade. Jacobs, Pollard, gone. Chase Brown, Hendo, gained. I think I would do this trade. I think I would do it. The new lineup would be Kyler, Bucky, Chase Brown. Who's your starting tight end? And your starting tight end would be Warren. I think I would do it. Yeah, I think I'd do it. I mean, I like Jacobs, and I like Pollard a lot, and I like Kincaid. I think I'd do the trade. The upside of Chase Brown and Henderson is wild right there. And I like Jacobs and Pollard a lot. But you'd have Bucky, Chase Brown. Pollard's on your bench anyways. Henderson could move into the flex, but he doesn't have to. I mean, you have Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Ridley, Adunze, Diggs. Henderson, a great RB3. And while it might take some time to get the ball rolling, potentially, the upside is there. So I think I'd do the trade. Maybe it depends on how you feel about Tyler Warren v. Kincaid. Chat, what do you guys think? I think I'd do this trade. I think I would. All right, what am I going to do this next pick? Been a good draft so far, boys and girls. I know it's a tough pick. Burrow and Hurts were absolute steals. Yeah, Burrow at the 5'9", like, I mean, it's still a steal. Vince going out and getting his guy Burrow over Hurts, which I don't think is craziest thing in the world. But yeah, both were great fallbacks. I mean, Josh Allen didn't even go to the 3-1. Space Coast really wanted Burrow to fall to me. Oh, in your draft. I mean, Kyler's okay. I would assume there's at least some intriguing quarterbacks out there on the waivers. Maybe a Penix or a J.J. McCarthy. I have a quick question. Of the 6th pick in the 12-man league, I'm thinking of J.J. if he falls to me. Still take CMC or Genty. I mean, I think it's okay to take C-Mac or Genty if you want to start running back. I do think it's okay. But I'm taking Justin Jefferson there. Maybe if you're worried potentially about the hamstring injury being potentially more serious than we're being led on to believe, you could maybe view this differently. But I'm not worried about JJ. But I also won't be shocked if we do see JJ miss a little bit of time to start the year. And the Vikings are now somewhat aggressively trying to trade for a wide receiver, which does have some people worried. With Jordan Addison set to miss the first 3 games and Justin Jefferson still nursing the hamstring injury at worst. So bear that in mind in your own evaluation. But I think overall, once JJ is good to go, like he is still almost easily, undoubtedly, the best player here. As much as I like Christian McCaffrey. And I guess you make the same argument when Christian McCaffrey is healthy. He is easily, undoubtedly, the best player available. I still think for me it is CMC or JJ, one of the two, over Genty, though. I'm not a Genty hater, I promise. I promise. This is a weird pick. Go Diggs. The 110 is weird. I also almost went McBride over Jacobs with my third pick. Kind of wish I did. Was an RB hell last year, so didn't want to have to repeat that. That's fair. The last year scares these. I mean, RB was also super robust last year. Yeah, I think if you did go McBride, I mean, I think your team is fine. But if you had gone McBride, I mean, it wouldn't have hurt your team. Yeah, I did draft an absurd amount of wide receivers in that league. It just there every time I was up to draft, there was just good value at wide receiver. And I just couldn't help myself. All right, so there goes Jordan Addison. I passed on Jordan Addison in this draft because I've drafted Jordan Addison in like every league this year. And I really like Addison, especially if you do believe JJ is going to miss time. I know Addison's going to miss those first 3 games, but if you are that seriously, if you're in the boat where you're that seriously concerned about JJ, then Addison could be locked in #1 type work. I just don't know who are the Vikings going to trade for. I know Adam Thielen's the popular rumor, but I've heard that's like smoke. It's not going to be McLaurin. So I don't know. Andrew says, hit the like, do it. Do it now. What's up, Jay Money? Good to see you. I took Smith in the other catch league. That's the only reason I didn't. Yeah. It's one of those things, trying to switch up your exposure. Sometimes it hurts you. Sometimes it turns out to be a really good thing. Liking the trade as well. Taylor likes it. Yeah, I'm thinking that Chase Brown side does clear. I mean, if you're looking at consensus ADP, it definitely, quote unquote, clears. All right, I wanted Tyrone Tracy, so now I'm mad I didn't go Tracy over Diggs. So, my life is ruined. But I'll go Dobbins. I feel like Dobbins' ADP is like kind of unfair. I feel like Dobbins is still undervalued. Diggs, Addison, Shakir. Who do you guys like best? I think truthfully, I still like Addison the best. What do you think about this team? Half PPR, double flex. Mahomes, Sun God, Tyreek, Genty, JCM, Ollie Gordon, Scadaboo, Braylon. Our hero RB team. McBride, Pickens, Worthy. I mean, I think the team is fine, but you got to figure out that RB2. Like, I'm okay with JCM, but I still think Chris Rodriguez and Austin Eckler are still going to have a role within this team. So while I do like him, I just don't exactly know if it's as clear cut of a situation as some people are thinking. Could very well be. Could have ended up being a great steal. Then I view all those other guys as handcuffs, although I do like Braylon Allen's potential for standalone value a lot. And I'm not the biggest on Tyreek, but he's okay. And then half PPR, if you are looking for touchdown upside, I think Pickens, Worthy, and the flex is very good. Amon-Ra is fine. Mahomes, McBride is very good. Tyreek's okay. I mean, if we can get back to some of that touchdown production, you're going to be really happy. But I will say in half PPR, it kind of looks like you gravitated towards the the wide receiver position, which is not the end of the world or anything. But generally speaking, in half PPR, I am going to want to see more depth at running back compared to wide receiver. But I could also understand sometimes you just get put in a position where wide receivers are the better players available and you roll with them. You do have a lot of upside. in the flex, which I like, a good quarterback, a good tight end. So I can tell you spent early draft capital elsewhere outside of running back, which is okay. Yeah, that's a good trade. I go do it. Feel like Laporta could be a steal this year. Yeah, I do like Laporta. Like he falls to the 7-4 there for you in this draft. And like that's the range. Like, I mean, even going after Kelsey, like I definitely think Laporta is the right pick there, undoubtedly. So I would feel pretty good about that pick if I were you. And I don't know if he's a quote unquote steal based on his ADP in a lot of drafts, right? But in drafts where he does fall, then yes, I would call him a steal. But generally, he's still like the tight end 4 off the board in a lot of drafts. It just kind of depends, you know, in those drafts exactly where that ends up being because sometimes he does fall back, you know what I mean? And if he is falling back, then of course the value is always going to be there, right? But I do think like the way he gets viewed is a little unfair. Like I said, generally he's still like tight end 4 at the board, but like people look at him like he had this major regression last year. And at the tight end position, excuse me, like it was pretty drastic regression at the end of the day, going from the tight end 1 to the tight end 8. But it's not like he had this awful season. And I guess the question of like, no Ben Johnson, like what is it? What does that offense look like or whatever? I guess that kind of arises, so to speak. Um, but when he is falling in drafts, I am definitely a fan, undoubtedly. So this draft at the 7-4, I think that's a very, very good value for you. Rashid Rice looked amazing last preseason game. If he's only suspended 4 games, it could get scary. I mean, I don't disagree, but is that what's going to happen? I don't know. It's just it's a murky situation, to say the least. I do agree. If he only misses 4 games, like I would feel very good. But I just don't know that that's going to be the situation that we actually see. You know what I'm saying? So we'll find out. Only time will tell. Absolutely punted tight end, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, and I mean, you still got Kincaid. Like, there's still upside. There's still hope. I still like Kincaid enough going into the year. But I'm not super upset about that pick for you. How high do you expect T-Mac to finish? Didn't plan on drafting as my wide receiver yesterday, but somehow did. PPR, I like him a lot in full PPR. I like him a lot in full PPR. I like him maybe a little bit less in like a half PPR format, but I don't know. You could basically say that about like almost any wide receiver, right? So, how high do I expect him to finish? I could easily see him finishing as a top 20 wide receiver this year. It's just going to depend on how fluent that offense actually ends up being. But I think it's a very good system. I've been a long time Dave Canales fan here on the channel. We talked a lot last off season about the potential for large progression for Bryce Young last year. And I don't know that we saw large progression per se, but we saw enough down the stretch that I think we should feel good, right? So, ultimately, I think that especially with the very small sample size we got um, out of preseason, I think we should feel pretty good about T Mac, and he is still If you take Travis Hunter out of the equation, he's still the best wide receiver in this draft class. So if he's your wide receiver 3, should feel very good. Well, there's always some risk associated with rookie wide receivers, but last year, Neighbors, B. Tom, Ladd, and MH was a disappointment based on draft capital in both the real draft and um, fantasy. But it's not like MH had a bad year. Had a frustrating year, wasn't used to the best of his ability, I don't personally think. But it's not like he had this. There's still a lot of hope, and it was still a good rookie season. You think St. Brown could get back to his 10 target mark if the Lions have to throw more? They have a tough schedule, and this year half their games are outside. I mean, I don't really understand, like, when people look at Amon-Ra, like what do you guys think was missing last year? He was the wide receiver 3 last year and the wide receiver 3 in 2023. Now, he did have 164 targets in 2023 compared to 141 last year, but it's a difference of about 20 targets. And I know there was a bit of a stretch there last season where he did have less targets in games, but and it was a bit more consistent, closer to 10 across the mark in 2023. But he had he had 18 targets in week 2 last year, 18 in week 15. He had some big target games last year. But yeah, the production has been there in 2 straight. Less receiving yards, less targets last year, but he had just 4 less receptions. So I don't think that's necessarily going to be the concern for me when it comes to Austin Eckler. You know what I mean? I think if anything, my concern would be maybe a shift in the total offense here. What does it look like with no Ben Johnson? How does that impact Amon-Ra? Maybe it starts to open things up a bit more, when we look at a Jameson Williams potentially. But at the end of the day, yeah, I don't have any worry about Amon-Ra personally. Snipe Diggs for me, I'm sorry. It was either I was going to get Diggs and you were going to get Addison, or I was going to get Addison and you were going to get Diggs. I want to go wide receiver before I potentially went Tracy or Dobbins. So it was close. I think Vikings take Kendrick Bourne from the Pats. I can see that happening. I can see it happening. But I just don't know if it makes an actual impact to their team. I like Kendrick Bourne, I guess. I guess the Kevin O'Connell system gives anyone hope except for Sam Howell. Want to trade for McBride, but I'm having a hard time cooking anything up. Personally, I don't think you can trade for McBride right now. Because if you do, you're going to have to offer essentially a second rounder, If you try and do a package, you're going to end up hurting your team, I think. I think the best thing to do is wait until Trey McBride during the season has a bad stretch and then make a move. Buy him low. I don't know. Is he going to have a bad stretch? I don't know. Should I package Ridley or Dunze with Kincaid for McBride? Yeah, if you can get that done, I would do it. If it's Ridley or Dunze with Kincaid, I'd do it in a heartbeat, especially with your roster. Tyler Warren snipe for Tommy. Where did Warren? Oh, the 9-7. I wanted Eckler that round. They're the 9th, so I think that's a good pick for you as your RP4. I don't even think I'm drafting another running back in this draft, honestly. I'm going to play the waivers if my guys are hurt. This was a heavy running back draft, which doesn't surprise me. And honestly, this was a pretty heavy wide receiver draft too. But it doesn't really feel like it's been that light on tight end and quarterback. Drafts are just the closer and closer and closer we get to September, the more difficult drafts become. It's just that simple. Would you prefer JSN over any of those round 2 running backs? I don't know how to feel about JSN, new QB, and Cup competing for targets. Yeah, I mean, Lockett and or Metcalf were healthy last year, and there are plenty of games where they had production, and JSN still had production. There are plenty of games where one of those two guys were hurt as well. But JSN's locked in I mean, like, listen, I don't think it's all over for Cooper Kupp or anything, and he's completely washed. He still had some very good games last year. Don't get me wrong. It's just the recency bias. He had 0 points in week 15, the first round of the fantasy playoffs, then 5.4 in week 16, 3.9 in week 17. He also had 4.7 in week 13. So the schmear on Cooper Kupp is quite bad. And also the tape was not great last year. But, 67 catches, 710 receiving yards, 6 tutties, 12 games is literally almost identical to what he did the previous season in 2023. He played in 12 games, 59 catches, 737 receiving yards, 5 tutties. He was the wide receiver 40 in 2023, the wide receiver 38 in 2024, which is not like what we're looking for in drafts per se, but there does come a point where his value is still there. But I don't think it's going to be enough to just drastically hurt JSN. And Jackson Smith and Jigba has been one of these players all off season long that I've been pretty high on, that I do like at his ADP. So I'm not out on JSN at any chance, right? But Jacobs, Chase Brown, Bucky, I'm taking all those guys for sure. And I'm depending on my build, a lot of the times I'm still taking Hampton and JT. And I truthfully think that JSN will be there in the third more than he'll be there in the second for you. Still, sometimes, depending on build, may go in the second. But ultimately, Jason's gone to 3-2 tonight. I feel like he falls into the third as opposed to the second round a lot more. So I do like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think right next to Higgins and Garrett Wilson is appropriate. I think the chance for the most consistent floor all season long still lies with JSN when we look at that kind of tier wide receiver. Higgins probably has more upside, but maybe more inconsistency. But over the round 2 running backs, I think there's a reason those guys have solidified themselves there. I knew you were taking Kirk. It's my boy. Man, I will take the Jaden Reed discount as a wide receiver 5 for sure. I've still had hope for Jaden Reed this offseason. Don't think it's going to be consistent, but I think there'll be enough. I'll take the discount. But yeah, initially I went into the 9-10 thinking Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk. So Jaden Reed, Christian Kirk with Allen gone, I'm okay with. And I didn't think that any of those guys would make it back to my next pick for sure. But yeah, Kirk has been my boy, and it's getting more and more difficult to draft Christian Kirk. Just think about a month ago, think about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when we were mock drafting, how different the actual drafts are, how much more aggressive you have to be in these last couple rounds. Snipe me on Kirk, that's my guy. Gotta get him. Who's the best pick for 4th? My home league draft starts soon. As It's really going to depend on who's available. I would love to get CeeDee Lamb at the 1-4. If you don't get CeeDee Lamb, I'm going to assume Chase, Bijan, Lamb are gone. So it's between Barkley and Gibbs. I still have Barkley above Gibbs. But I would say the pick is Barkley or Gibbs. So either starting with Lamb, and then if you're not starting with Lamb, Barkley. If your heart is really set on Gibbs over Barkley, I'm not going to talk you out of it, but I have Barkley over Gibbs. Don't overthink it. Thoughts on T-Mac? I like Ted McMillan. He's a good pick for you there. He kind of gives you the floor. You know, Higgins gives you that upside. T-Mac gives you a good floor. I wouldn't be stressing about that pick. Ibuka or Golden? I'm going to Emeka Ibuka. I will say the price on Matthew Golden's cheaper. I don't know. Golden's still winning the 6 tonight. He has moved up. I can't believe Devonta Smith went the 6-8 in this draft. But Golden, you're going to spend a 6th or 7th rounder on. Ibuka, I mean, Kuda in our community has been pushing up his ADP. And like an underdog, he gets drafted pretty aggressively too. I don't know if you're necessarily going to have to spend a 5th rounder, but I would say be prepared at least to spend a 6th rounder on him. So it's not that far apart. I do like Matthew Golden a lot. I still think Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Tucker Kraft, a lot of these guys are going to come into play. Speaking of wide receivers, Donta Thornton has also moved up in ADP. His ADP on Underdog is like 145 or maybe it's like 160, but it has moved up drastically. There he goes at the 11-4. But yeah, you know, I think Emeka Ibuka is going to start the year like super hot. But we also have to remember that Tristan Wirfs is hurt for the Bucks. Just huge for their pass protection. And he's going to, miss like the first 4 games or something? 6 games? I think 4 games. And then Godwin will be back like week 7-ish. We don't really know. Nobody knows. And I don't know. I mean, I still think Ibuka will be fine when Godwin is back, but opportunities knocking now because then Jalen McMillan will be back around week 9, week 10. But yeah, I think like Ibuka is going to be one of these guys. Like, if we're going to be like 3 weeks in the season, this guy's going to be absolutely balling out. Should I went Coleman over Mims? I like Mims over Coleman, so I don't agree. Yeah. I think Mims is the clear-cut wide receiver 2 on the Broncos. Some people would view Coleman as the clear-cut wide receiver 2 on the Bills, I suppose. But I think the better passing attack will stem from the Broncos. Chase, I'd rather have Mims personally. Now, you guys can go back. I know Mims is starting to become a hotter name, right? Which is fine. But I've been a Marvin Mims truther from the beginning of the offseason. I have stuck by it. One of the first videos I put out this offseason was 5 players to trade for in Dynasty. And in that video, I talked about Marvin Mims, and I put that video out in like January or February or something. All right, it's been a fun draft. My team's a little intriguing. Interesting. See how it shakes out. Yeah, I almost took Braylon Allen over Kirk because I knew Braylon Allen wasn't going to make it back to me. He's another name that is rising for sure. Taking JJ over Gibbs and Barkley is not good. I mean, I think you certainly can. Depends if you want to start wide receiver or running back. JJ was a wide receiver 2 last year. He's been the wide receiver 6 or better every year except 2023 when he was hurt. He probably would have finished as a top 5 wide receiver that year. He's been the wide receiver 4 or better every year since 2021 except 2023 when he was hurt. He's been the wide receiver 2 or better 2 of the last 3 seasons. I think it would really have to rely on how you personally feel about the health of his hamstring. Which I'm not ultimately too worried about it. I'm going Colston Loveland. I've not drafted him at all this year. I'm going to draft him for funsies. I still think I would personally take Barkley. I was super high on Barkley last offseason. I think that the Barkley worry and concern has gone too far. I still have Barkley ahead of JJ and Gibbs. And ultimately, once again, if CeeDee Lamb is there, you need to take CeeDee Lamb. And he could very well be there. I go Lamb, Barkley. I mean, JJ and Gibbs is splitting hairs. It's a toss-up. But probably JJ then Gibbs. Is very close, though. I can't believe I passed on Rachaad White when I only have 3 running backs, but here we are. How'd you rank these wide receivers draft-wise? Jennings, Debo, Pearsall, and Emeka Egbuka. I will go Pearsall, Egbuka, Jennings, Debo. But I think Debo and Jennings close. I go back and forth on Juwan Jennings. At times, I think he could be really spotty, kind of like how he was last year, and just appear out of nowhere, and then disappear right away the next game. I'm a little worried about the injury, I guess. I think Pearsall will be the clear-cut kind of consistency piece there. And I think you could argue Egbuka over Pearsall, but I think Pearsall is in line for the most consistent targets throughout the year. And everyone's hurt. I mean, it's so bad for the Niners wide receiver room that they just traded for Sky Moore. Okay? When I say everyone is hurt on the Niners at the wide receiver and running back position, I mean, that's why they traded for Brian Robinson, right? Because Garando is still dealing with a shoulder injury, and Jordan James is hurt. He has a finger injury that's going to cause him to miss a couple weeks. But when we look at the wide receivers, right, and I've been talking about this for a few weeks, Jordan Watkins has an ankle injury. He's going to miss a month, and that would be the rookie out of Ole Miss. Jacob Cowing has a hamstring injury that he re-aggravated. Could miss up to 6 weeks. Demarcus Robinson is going to be suspended for the first 3 games of the season. Russell Gage has a sprained MCL. Brandon Ayuk, we already know the story there, right? So they've brought in Robbie Chosen. Okay. Isaiah Hodgins is hanging around. Tariq Owens is hanging around. Those are the starting wide receivers behind Pearsall and Juwan Jennings. But now they've added Sky Moore. So I don't know if any of that will give you any confidence. Jennings is banged up too, right? But is expected to be available for week 1, but is banged up. So when I say everyone is hurt or suspended on the wide receiver room, it's literally everybody except Ricky Pearsall and Sky Moore. Now, I will say, well, it's like kind of fun to poke at a Sky Moore type esque player. I do hope it works out for Sky Moore. And then, yeah, the running backs are banged up across the board. C-Mac is not banged up. Brian Robinson is not banged up. But will we be surprised if somebody gets re-injured there? I mean, George Kittle should confidently be the tight end 3 off the board. And it has been that way for weeks. But, like, yeah, George Kittle, who was a leading wide receiver last year, is probably going to do that again this year. Who would you have taken at the 10-9? Probably the toughest pick. Got sniped on Coleman. I think Brian Robinson's fine. I think I still like Braylon Allen a tad bit over Brian Robinson, but I think he's fine. And the fact that you got Donta Thornton at the 11-4, fine. You didn't need like Prescott's a good value there, but you got Lamar. You don't need a tight end. So if you felt that B-Rob was the best available player, I'm okay with that, especially turning around and getting Donta Thornton, who I really like right there as well. Maybe get Ayuk, throw him on PUP or IR. But no, B-Rob, Thornton, and I like Dowdle. So those 3 picks, back to back to back there, good picks. I'm not super high on Coleman. Like I know some people are. Would you mind go over my team first? Got to try and eat before my home league. Yes, I will go over your team first. Tommy, thank you for the super chat. Sorry for taking the craft from you. I think Bucky and Gibbs go too early for a 60% timeshare. Well, I think there's some validity to what you're saying. But yeah, I do think people with Gibbs, like I'll say this much. For Bucky, at least Rashad White is banged up. And Sean Tucker will not, if White misses time, Tucker will not take as many snaps away as Rashad White does because Rashad White is miles on end a better pass protector than Sean Tucker. So I think Bucky will be fine. And Bucky was still productive enough to where even not being the starter for part of the season last year, he still finished as the RB13 last year. But I'll also say this about Bucky. I think that offense might be the best offense in the NFL this year, arguably. Top 5 easily. They will be in the red zone a lot. So I don't worry about Bucky. And this is kind of drastic. Like Gibbs goes top 4 or 5. Bucky still goes second round. You know what I mean? Now, Gibbs, I do think when you break down the numbers of when Monty was healthy last year and the production we got out of Gibbs still a first round player, undoubtedly. But like the top upside we saw out of Gibbs was weeks 15 through 17, and that monster game in week 18, which didn't matter for fantasy. I mean, and Monty got hurt week 15. So basically the entirety of when Monty missed time, right? And I mean, don't get me wrong, like Gibbs had a huge game in week 7 against Minnesota and a lot of very, very, very good games that you would not be disappointed about whatsoever, you know? But the overall production was much lower when Monty was on the field. And all signs are pointing towards, John Morton wanting to use David Montgomery exactly how he was used last year. But at the same time, like, I don't worry about Gibbs whatsoever. And the upside is there with Gibbs. The pass catching role is there with Gibbs. I think there is validity to what you're saying for sure when it comes to Gibbs. But I just don't know if it's enough to concern me. Now, I will say I am taking Barkley confidently over Gibbs. And I do think some of that recency biasy of those last 4 games comes into play for a lot of people with Gibbs. So Niners fans frustrating every season they're hurt. It's pretty bad right now. NMB, we got a 3 wide receiver super flex, tough format. Lamar, Burrow, Hampton, Jordan Mason, Tank Bigsby, Chubb, Ollie Gordon, JJ Pickens, Ramadunze, Travis Hunter, Ricky Pearsall, Luther Burden, Donta Thornton, Loveland. I mean, very good quarterback situation. Really rolling with Hampton and Jordan Mason, but I think Tank Bixby and Charb and even Chubb, good enough bench players for kind of a zero hero RB type approach. JJ Pickens, Dunze, you have good enough depth with Pearsall and probably Travis Hunter for the 3 wide receivers to start. I mean, if you're going to make a move here, it's got to be for a running back. 'Cause what if the volume isn't there for Jordan Mason? What if it's too spotty? What if Charbs is only productive if there's a Walker injury? Jacksonville running backs, I like Bixby at his ADP, probably the best, but that's a question mark. So this might be a better team to kind of sit back and wait. Wait for swings during the season and make a move, especially see how waivers go the first couple of weeks. But, maybe if Roma Dunze has a huge game or Hunter has a huge game, you're able to move them at a better price. But I wouldn't move JJ or Pickens. I mean, it's just not. I think when it comes to trying to do trades already, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of really good trades that can potentially happen. But ultimately, you want to try and use the momentum of the season over anything else. You know what I mean? You want to be able to buy players low, sell players high. But it's a tough format. 12-team, 3 wide receiver, Superflex. I think the team is okay. I mean, you got a lot reliant on Colston Loveland, but it should be okay. Hopefully, there's still some players out there at tight end. Like a Goddard, maybe Ertz, Hunter Henry, Brenton Strange. Somebody can give you a little bit of hope if Loveland's taking some time to get rolling. Wow. This was a tough draft, boys and girls. Tough draft. There's some good players available. I'm actually pretty happy with this draft. I kind of wish. No, I don't really wish I did anything differently. I feel like Goff is the best value. There's a couple players I consider here, but I'm going to go Goff. All right, I will go through every team. Start with Tommy's. I do like Najee in the last round. You can throw him on IR, although the Chargers are saying they're going to take him off the PUP list. He's going to be ready week 1, so keep an eye out on that. But Najee last round is fine. I consider Najee in this draft a couple times because my running backs are thin. Gives 4.5 points less. But yeah, like, what does that really mean? You know what I mean? Like, Gibbs didn't have a single digit game last year, At the same time, I do think that there is validity to what you're saying for sure. But Gibbs averaged 21.4 fantasy points per game, the second most of any running back last year. Had the 8th most fantasy points per game in his rookie year. It's like, so like, maybe that's the type of drop you see. Goes from the RB2 to the RB6, 8. I wouldn't overthink it. All right, you're welcome, NMB. Seahawks coaching talking about using Kanon as a 3-down back. They're also talking about using Charbs more. maybe some smoke here and there. How'd you rank these players? Worthy, J-Mo, Pickens, Ridley? Probably Worthy with the Rashee Rice situation being shaky first, then J-Mo, then Pickens, then Ridley. Sorry, that's the exact order you have them, but I will say that's a very shaky tier of receivers. We're splitting hairs. I like all those guys a lot. Shane, what's up, man? Thank you so much for the super chat. Just drafted a 10-man PPR. Purdy, C-Mac, Hendo, Walker, Judkins, Jay Jettis, DK, T-Mac, Pittman, Rome, McBride, and Warren. Even for a 10-teamer, this is pretty solid. So Purdy, C-Mac, Hendo, or Walker starting, JJ, DK, T-Mac starting, and you can flex one of those running backs if you need to. Pittman and Rome Odunze are flexible. McBride starting, but Warren is flexible. Judkins, sure, see what happens, I guess. This is a solid team. I don't have any beef with this team at all. I feel very good about this team if I were you, Shane. Even at 10-man where it's going to be a little bit more competitive week to week, I feel good about it. Good squad. I don't have really any issues here. Charlie, good luck to you. Think Keenan Allen could still be a wide receiver too? Yes. But I do think that there will be some sort of volume for Trey Harris and or Quinn Johnston, believe it or not, and or Keandre Lambert. So, but yeah, I think Keenan Allen's a guy to have after Ladd. All right. Let's look at some teams. Start with Tommy. Drake May and Zach Ertz. I mean, for basically punting both positions, I think this is fine. Didn't get Tucker Craft. You wanted him. Would have still gotten Drake May either way, so you could have gotten Kincaid over Drake May, but you wouldn't have known that. Also, Goff was there, so I still think it's okay. Genty, Bucky, Warren, Eckler, Dylan Sampson. Nothing wrong with this running back room. Basically a double hero RB approach. You knocked out some wide receivers. Higgins, T-Mac, Waddle, Pearsall, Cup, Marvo Mims. Yeah, I think I would still take Diggs and Addison and Shakir over Cup and probably Jennings. I can understand not going Pearsall and Jennings. But I mean, other than that, Warren's fine. I maybe prefer Jordan Mason, but he's fine. Eckler was a really solid pick for you. Dylan Sampson, I like. This is a pretty good team, Tommy. Drake May, Ertz, Genty, Bucky, Higgins, T-Mac, Waddle, Pearsall, the starting lineup. I mean, that'll be a tough team. Depends on how maybe Drake May and Ertz perform for you, but there'll be players out there on the waivers that can do enough. So I don't hate it. Yeah, I mean, truthfully, solid team. And I'm a Marvin Mims fan. I think he got good late round value in this draft. All right, let's run through it. Bud Smoker has Josh Allen, Kelsey, Kincaid. Good there. Chase Hill, Rice, Godwin, a little thin at wide receiver to be having Rice and Godwin. Pacheco, Harvey, Charb, Stevenson, Allen, Najee. I mean, a lot. By the way, guys, waivers will be open until midnight. So if you guys are going to make moves, throw players on the pub, whatever, go ahead and do it now. Yeah. I mean, you did get good value at running back throughout this draft. But at the same time, I'd be a little worried about these receivers. Now, the receivers could pay off too. And when you have a good tight end room, you have a lot. I mean, you have everything that you need when it comes to quarterback position, obviously. So you're good there. But the upside here, you're going to need it to pay off sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? But I mean, you get Rice and Godwin back, you're going to feel pretty good. But I just worry because you think about it, right? Allen, Kelsey or Kincaid, Chase, Hill, Pacheco, Harvey starting. I even have some concerns about Harvey. But then you got to figure out like the flex positions here. I'm not saying you can't. Like I do like some guys like Charbs and Allen late, but again, you can flex a tight end too. So see. Chance at the 1-2, Mahomes, Andrews, Gibbs, Caleb Johnson, Javonte, Spears, Woody Marks, Ladd, JSN, Metcalf, DJ Moore in the 5th. Some wide receivers fall, I feel like, in this draft. Josh Palmer, Brandon Ayuk. So Mahomes, Andrews starting, Gibbs, Caleb Johnson or Javonte, Ladd, JSN, Metcalf, DJ Moore. I mean, it's a solid lineup. You just got to figure out the RB2. You did get some good kind of late round players in terms of guys you took shots on. So I like that. Yeah, I mean, starting lineup is solid here. It kind of depends on how the bench and the RB2 situation shake out for you. All right. Hustle for at the 1-3. Dak, Hawkinson. Good late round value. Man, Hawk really fell in this draft too. I almost took Hawkinson. Like I never take a tight end that early. I almost took him like when I took Diggs at the 7-10. I mean, you got great value at QB and tight end. Hampton, Hendo, Hall. Hall is falling in these drafts. JCM, Tootin Algier. I honestly would have stopped at JCM. Let's see how the receivers look. Lamb, Hunter, Debo, Flowers, not bad. But yeah, I would have gone like Donta Thornton or Pop Douglas here. Pat Bryant's fine. I would have gone Bateman with that last pick. I think Hampton, Hendo, Hall, JCM would be fine. But also, there's a lot of unknown. I mean, 2 rookies. Brees Hall's, exact potential split with Allen, and then JCM's exact split. So I don't hate it. But you're starting Dak, Hawk, Hampton, Henderson, Lamb, Hunter. Really flexing any combination of Hall, Debo, Flowers, maybe JCM. This is a good team. It's a good team. All right. Mackin at the 1-4. Excuse me. Lamar and Laporta, you're good there. Bijan, JT, Juckins, B-Rob, Dowdle, Jalen Wright, Adams, Pickens, Golden, Luther Burden, Donta Thornton. There is a lot of perceived upside on this team. So, like, you're starting Lamar, starting Laporta, Bijan, JT, Adams, Pickens, flexing Golden. You kind of got to figure out this last flex, but Burden, Thornton, Juckins give you the opportunity to do so, I think. And then B-Rob, Dowdle, Wright, all very solid handcuffs who could potentially have some good standalone value. I think Thornton will be in that second flex for you. Yeah, solid team. Starting lineup is good. All right, Servo Drock at the 1-5. Nix fell to the 7-5. Good value there. Bowers at the 3-5. Barkley, Chase Brown, Jordan Mason, Cam Scattaboo, and Ray Davis. Good later round value. Maybe depends on how you feel about Scattaboo, who was back in that last preseason game. Doesn't look like he's hurt anymore. Sutton, Worthy, Devonta. I mean, this was, if I were to go double running back and tight end and a QB through the first 7 rounds and get Sutton Worthy and Devonta Smith, I would feel really good. Mooney was a good value. Bateman was a good value. Coleman's fine here. If you like Coleman there, that's a fine spot to draft him. So Nix, Bowers, Barkley, Brown, Sutton, Worthy, Devonta, then one of these guys in the flex. Solid. I still can't believe Devonta Smith fell to the 6'8". That upsets me immensely. Chase Wellner, my guy at the 1-6. Baker was a great value in the 9th. Baker in the 9th round is crazy to me. Ingram in the 8th, solid. Jacobs, Kyron, Jones, Bigsby, Blake Corum. So you handcuffed Kyron, not bad. Like the rest of the picks, JJ, Mike Evans, McLaurin, Olave, Pop Douglas, Trey Harris. Once again, not bad at all. It's going to be a good league. So you're starting Baker, Evan Ingram, Jacobs, Kyron Williams, JJ, Mike Evans, flexing in theory McLaurin and Olave, but you could also flex Aaron Jones with a good bench. So I would feel pretty good about this team. I really don't know if we've gone over a team that I don't like so far. All right, Kuda at the 1-7. I felt like this was a team that had some good value fall to it. Let's see. Brock Purdy in the 11th. Tyler Warren in the 9th. I do feel like Purdy's being pretty undervalued in a lot of drafts right now. James Cook, Chuba Hubbard, ETN, Jadon Blue, Damon Pierce, Nico, AJ Brown, Emeka Egbuka, Adunze Myers, Shaheed. Really good wide receiver value in this draft for you, Kuda. So starting Purdy, starting Warren, Cook and Chuba, Nico, AJ Brown, flexing Egbuka, flexing Adunze or Myers. ETN and Shaheed potentially flexible there too. Good tight end, good quarterback, 2 dart throws at running back. Solid. No complaints from me. Not afraid to go out and get your guys as well. Moving up the Emeka Egbuka ADP. No beef for me. All right, Vince, what we do, man? Burrow in the 5th, got your guy. I like it. McBride in the 3rd. Nothing wrong there. Man, it is tough to go 3 RBs, QB, tight end through the first 5 rounds. We got C-Mac, A-Chain, Connor. So wide receivers are Judy, Jennings, Pittman, Higgins, Tillman. We also got Chubb, Ollie Gordon, and Garando. So my only worry there would be how things look if something goes south at wide receiver. So we're starting Burrow, McBride, C-Mac, A-Chain. I think you're flexing Connor, starting Judy, starting Jennings, flexing Pittman, which could certainly be enough, could certainly be fine. I worry about, I don't know. There's a lot of upside with C-Mac, A-Chain, Burrow, McBride, though. But I worry about the total upside on this team. I think Ollie Gordon, Nick Chubb are good value picks. I do like Said Tillman. Garando could still have a role. He's dealing with the injury. But it's a tough strat to go. I mean, this is basically a 0 wide receiver team. I don't think anybody else drafted close to how your team looks. But yeah, I mean, Judy, Jennings, Pittman could all truly be the wide receiver 1s on their respective teams. I just think I would have passed on 2 of these 3 late round running backs. I think I would have ended with 4 running backs if I spent this much draft capital on running back. You know what I mean? I think I would have taken a shot on I don't know, but that's the thing. There weren't a lot of options. So I get that too. But yeah, we'll see how it works out. Foster's JD5 at QB and Joku at tight end. Good there. Neighbors, B. Tom, Ridley, Addison, Downs, Kyle Williams. I haven't been super bullish on Kyle Williams. Guess he's got a head injury. I think I would have gone Tillman or Bateman over Kyle Williams. But the rest of your receivers look very good. And once again, I think I'm leaning Keenan Allen or Christian Kirk, maybe even Marvin Mims over Josh Downs, but I know some people are not going to like that take. But Walker, Swift, Mixon, Benson, Shipley's an interesting running back room, but I like Walker and Swift enough that I'm okay with it. Throw Mixon on the IR. Get a free player. So starting JD5 and Joku, Walker, Swift, Neighbors, B. Tom, Ridley. Figure out the last flex. I mean, Josh Downs is a little banged up. Then Addison's going to be suspended. But once Addison's back and even theoretically Mixon, it's a very solid starting lineup. All right, DC 2525. Kyler QB, Kittle, Pitts, Puka, Lundo, J-Mo in the 6, Shakir, Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, very good wide receiver value. Kamara, Pollard, Tracy, Rashad White. I mean, not bad running back value at all. This is a good team. Kyler, Kittle, Kamara, Pollard, Puka, Lundo, J-Mo, Shakir, or Tracy, or Allen in the flex, and a good bench. I mean, I have no qualms with this team at all. At all. And quite frankly, we had a lot of really good teams tonight. This is a great draft, guys. Let's roast my team. I got Hurts at QB in the 6. Goff is still sitting there, so I took him 13th. I almost never go double QB, double tight end, but it just kind of happened tonight. Played the board. Loveland and Kraft at tight end. I haven't drafted any Colston Loveland, so we'll take a shot, but I do really like Tucker Kraft, so. Light at running back, just Henry, Monty, Dobbins. I'm expecting a lot out of Henry and Monty, to say the least. So if they go down, this team might be going down. But until then, they'll be my guys. Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, MH. Does feel a little like low ceiling, but I think I'll be okay with it. Diggs, Jaden Reed, Christian Kirk. I felt like pretty good late round wide receiver value there. So I'm starting Hurts, one of the 2 tight ends, Henry, Monty, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, MH, and probably Stephon Diggs in the flex. If he's not good to go, Jaden Reed. If he's not good to go, we got my guy, Christian Kirk. So this is a light running back team. It's just kind of how the board worked out. I feel like there's better value elsewhere instead of taking dart throws at running backs. We'll fight on waivers. So this was a good draft, ladies and gentlemen. Tough draft all the way through. A lot of really good teams across the board. So bear in mind, waivers will be open until midnight. If you guys want to make moves, go ahead and do so. Until then, do whatever you want. Move players on IR, whatever it may be. John said, keep an eye on the Najee Harris situation. Oh, ESPN draft was weird. Got Stroud in the 10th, Stafford in the 14th, along with Allen in the 1st. Yeah, that is definitely weird for a super flex, but very good for you. Got your guy Drake May. Says Tommy. Accept my trade. I'm still thinking about it. Welcome, Week 4 draft will be here before you know it, your boy. Play the catch Week 7. No Derrick Henry. I'll figure it out. I got 6 weeks. Just had my draft today. Says Brad, Kyler, and Fields. Like that. Some nice rushing upside. C-Mac, Kenneth, Aaron Jones, Tracy, Jay Jettis, Ladd, Marv, Devonta, Mooney, Hawk, and Ferguson. Pretty solid. So starting one of the 2 quarterbacks, Kyler, Kenneth, JJ Ladd, flexing Marv. Lots of good bench options, lots of good depth, starting Hawkinson as well. This is a great team. Not a lot to worry about. You should feel very good here. Dominic, let's see here. We got a trade. You get Chase Brown, Matthew Golden, and Myers. Give up a Dunze, McMillan, and Connor. I do that trade in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. 12-man full PPR, 1 QB, 2 RB, 2 receiver flex. I do this in a heartbeat. If I make the trade, my team would be Lamar, CMC, Chase Brown, Marv, Igbuka, Myers, Golden, Pierce, Alden. Yes, do that trade. I would way rather have Chase Brown than James Conner. I'd rather have Matthew Golden than McMillan. You could argue a Dunze maybe, but I really like Jacoby Myers. I would do that trade in a heartbeat. Your team looks very solid with the trade. Oz, what's up, bro? Thoughts on a 12-team PPR? We got Bo Nix, BTJ, Devontae, Sutton, Matthew Golden, IU, good depth. Jacobs, Hampton, Pollard, Charbs, nice. Jadon Blue, Kraft. Don't know if I should trade for a good tight end or Bucky Irving. You're fine. Once again, guys, I would really try to wait and do trades unless you're just getting an offer that you're blown away by. I wouldn't be going out of the way to make a lot of trades. It's a lot easier when at the end of the day you can buy low, sell high, make trades throughout the pendulum swinging while the season's going on. So and I think Tucker Kraft's going to be perfectly fine. You have a very solid team. Nix, BTJ, Devontae, flex Sutton, flex Golden, start Jacobs, start Hampton, Pollard can also start. Kraft's your starting tight end. I think you're fine. All right, boys and girls. Another one in the books. We will be back tomorrow for League Number One's draft, which is a keeper draft, but other than that, full PPR, double flex, same format as this draft. So we'll be back tomorrow for more fantasy Q&A, another draft. So make sure you guys come out, hang out, talk some fantasy football. Let's do it. All right, congrats to everybody in League 3. Great draft tonight, boys and girls. You guys killed it. And we'll be back. League number 1, back on the clock at 9 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So make sure you guys come out. Let's talk some more fantasy football tomorrow. Go over some more teams, talk some more trades, whatever you guys need, and come watch League number 1, Draft 13. Once again, Week 1 fantasy content will be dropping on Thursday. Gonna have plenty of content coming out this week and bleeding into Week 1 NFL kickoff for the 2025 season. So make sure you guys are staying posted. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for hanging out and talking some fantasy football. And congrats again to everybody in League 3. Thank you guys. Going to be a great season. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, is the hot ear on the catch, and peace.